Deep down, I know I'm a fighter. Deep down, I know my desires. Everybody thinks that I'm just a liar. They don't know what I got inside ya. I'm the one to fight fire with fire. I'm the type who never lets me get tired. Mess with me and they never will find ya. Yeah, people tell me I won't get it. They don't know me cause I'm cold winning. Always in the 9 o'clock closing. It's always in my mind, don't know quitting. I'ma be the one that blows up in it. You gon' be the one that shows up missing. I'ma be always look forward, no, never look back. I just want the truth, better listen to my facts. Give me up in the booth and I put them on my best.
What is up, guys? T-Croc here. Welcome to the vlog. As you saw in the earlier clip, I tried to get the car in a tow dolly and it would not clear. I think the whole reason behind it is the tires that I ordered look a little bit taller than the ones I've had in the past. So that just made enough height difference to the car would not clear. So we basically used some ramps to get the car on and off the tow dolly. Unfortunately, those ramps weren't mine, so I had to give those back. And I went to the store and actually bought my own. I haven't had the chance to actually try them out for 2 reasons. For one, the weather's been like crap. The second reason is I injured my back. Yeah, injured at the gym. I have no idea what happened. I was literally out for 3 days. I could not move too well. I just basically stretched it and just iced it and put heat on it and let it be. So there's a few situations going on with the car. I will explain that at the shop.
That's what I do, hard work, always last, and the pain's not an act, though it hurts real bad, but you have to attack what you want to attract, or you're gonna look back and regret what you lack. Everybody knows it's a fact, yeah, I just want my words to impact, yeah, I just want my words to outlast, yeah, not sorry if I put you on blast.
Yo, the whole purpose of this video was, I've been debating whether what I wanted to do or not. I do really want to get my competition license, so to do that, I have to go through HPDE. I'm gonna choose NASA. I know the NASA rules more than I know the SCCA rules. NASA works a little bit different. You can get your competition license through NASA or SCCA or any kind of certified league. But I'm just gonna go with NASA. I'm familiar with my friends all compete in NASA, so I'm gonna go with NASA as well. So here is the tech form for HPDE, and technically you're supposed to give it to a shop, but I want to go through the car myself before I take it to the shop and let them tech it, because that's kind of a waste of a drive if you don't tech the car yourself and then you go there and they find these issues and you can't pass tech. And the way tech works is you have to get it tech before you actually can drive the car. I made that mistake a few years ago where I had no idea that you were supposed to tech it before you brought it out there. So I actually lost a session of instruction because I didn't tech the car, and we had to tech the car during my session. So here is the way you're supposed to tech it. Wheels and tires, you make sure all your lug nuts are tight and the conditions of the tires. These tires are a few years old. I probably can get one more session out of them before I have to get a new set. So my whole thing is, if I can get a good shakedown on these tires, then I will switch them out for some new ones. Maybe hand-cut RS4s, because these are the RS3s. Or I know BFG Rivals are really good. That's something I'm gonna research a little bit more. Like, there's so many options, but you also have to consider when you do HPDE, you're running in wet or dry. So you want to pick a tire that you don't have to worry about switching tires out for HPD session. Steering, you got to check your front and rear wheel bearings. That's just basically jacking up the car and checking steering play. So all of these right here, I'm gonna go through the safety equipment and the pedal pressure. I'll go through all this real quick, and so let's get started.
They see on the outside, they don't know just what I'm like on the inside. If you knew what I could do, you'd watch your backside. If you knew what I could do, you'd stay in at night. I'm the type of dude you don't wanna fuck.
Alright, so next we'll check the steering wheel to see if it has any play. Let me attach my steering wheel real quick. And that's pretty normal right there. This kind of play, this is pretty normal. It's just when it's excessive, like that's the resistance of me trying to turn the wheel. So it's not too bad. So wheels and tires we checked, lug nuts were good, front and wheel bearings were good, steering wheel play is good. Let's check the pedal pressure, fuel level. Now the fluid level is good. I already know that, but if you wanted to check it, it's right there. Brake lines, I have stainless steel brake lines. We checked that in the past. Brake lights, when I check the pedal pressure, I'm gonna set the camera behind to see if we can check the brake lights. I just realized that we cannot check the brake lights because we're still having the battery issue right now. I'm probably gonna buy a new battery, maybe a red top, just to see if it's the battery issue. Now, if I try to start it and it kills that battery, then we have a whole nother issue that we need to figure out. This is one of the issues that I was talking about earlier in the video that I need to figure out what's going on. I honestly do not know what happened. I don't know if it was like a ground out that killed the battery and that's why I can't get this car running, but even trying to jump it, it won't jump at all. So that's an issue I got to figure out next week as well. If I do run a red top, the mounts are underneath and I don't have to worry about the tie down pressing against here. Or I could run a small battery, but then again, when it gets cold and after numerous cranks, the battery will not turn the car over. So something I need to think about in the next couple of days. So all right, safety equipment and miscellaneous things. Roll bars and open cars. My car is not a convertible, so we don't have to worry about that. Seatbelt and harnesses, that's in the car. I'll explain a couple of things about that. Helmet, my helmet's at home. I'll actually show you guys that when I go home. Covered battery inside cockpit. Now, battery's not inside, it's right there, so we don't have to worry about that. Gas up, kept secure, no worries, that's secure. No wires exposed, seat bolted up tight. All right, let's go through this. All right, since I have a roll cage, now HPDE tech is a little bit lenient, but I want to have the roll cage and everything like it was if I was gonna do a legit time attack. Now, roll cages need to be covered in this type of padding. It has this kind of secure, not that noodle pool foam bullshit that you see a lot of people have to have cool colors. This is high density, it won't melt if it catch fires roll bar padding. So basically you need to cover where the driver is going to be. So the door bars up here, headrest, behind. Now I actually covered that side because for do HPD you have to have a instructor. So I want the instructor to feel safe as well. For harnesses, now this is where HPD gets interesting. Harnesses, you have an inspection date. Now, if I was doing time attack, I think you have to renew them every 2 years. Now, I've had this harness for a while. Let's see, November 4th, 2014 is when it's actually going to expire. So it's already expired. But for HPD tech, as long as the harness looks like it's in good condition, you do not have to worry about this inspection date, this expiration date, I should say. Now here's where it gets a little confusing, where I'm debating what to do. If I wanted to do an open track event where they don't require a license, this would have to be up to par. And here's where another dilemma goes. I just read the rules for sending in the Crow harnesses seats to get them recertified. They basically said if it's up to 6 years old, they will not recertify them. So I would have to get a new harness. Basically, I would have to get 2 new harnesses if I wanted to do passengers or for basically the instructor. So that's basically where I'm at with it. This is a 5-point. I would love to go to a 6-point because this submarine belt, this crotch belt, is very uncomfortable. And if you imagine this being where your balls are and you get into a wreck, you are gonna feel some pain. So a 6-point basically goes over your thighs and it's a lot more comfortable. So if I do need to get a new harness, I am going to go with a 6-point. All right, next on the list, no wires exposed. Now, I've talked to a couple of guys about this no wires exposed because there are a lot of time attack guys who have their stuff like this, where there's like wires basically exposed, but they're covered. I think the rule of no exposed is like a live hot wire that's not covered. So I think I'm safe on that. I will get clarification when I actually get the car to the shop that does these HPD tech inspections, and I will also ask them about the harness as well, because I'm not entirely sure. I'm just reading on paper and I'm just interpreting which I think the way it is. See, it's supposed to be bolted. It's secure. The only other thing is, if I do HPD, I have to add the passenger seat and then add the harness. I'll probably do a video on it because people do not know how to wrap the harnesses properly. And this one's actually the way it's supposed to be wrapped. It's a little loose because I've been in and out of the car and haven't been racing. I'll probably tighten it up a little bit more. So let's move on to the next part of the list. Next up is engine. Let's see, fluid leaks, oil, fuel, water, radiator overflow, radiator hoses, battery secure, battery terminals. Okay, I'm gonna start to the bottom and then work my way to the top. My battery tie down is not on the car. I actually took it off to test this battery because I was having issues with it, and I wasn't gonna put it back on because I think I'm gonna be taking it out. Battery covers. Okay, so I do have a negative cover. It's in the trunk. I have a positive cover. Now, the Mitsubishi had to be difficult, and I can't use a universal cover because of the way this battery is. Now, I cannot find the OEM part number for the actual legit battery cover. I had to make like a makeshift one, which doesn't look pretty, but it should pass tech. I'm probably gonna check the junkyard and see if there's any strand ones laying there that I can snatch off, because I do not like the look of the one that I have right now. Last on the list is which there is another issue that I found yesterday is fluid leaks. I have a oil leak, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to show you guys, but I'm going to shine a UV light. I actually put some UV dye in here, and it's basically, it's not coming out good, but these lower exhaust manifold bolts, there is oil coming out of them. Now, I had a previous issue with this motor, and it was instantly the head gasket, so I replaced the head gasket. Well, I'm still having that same issue after replacing the head gasket, torquing everything in order right to spec. The heads, according to the head shop, they said they were good, but I'm still having the same issue. So I can't have the car leaking oil. You can actually see that's the oil puddle that, and if the camera can catch it, it's like green specks. That's the oil puddle that is basically leaking from the car. That's a big issue. I cannot have the car leaking oil like this, especially people were saying, oh, just run it. Well, if this oil gets on this exhaust, it could possibly catch fire, and I'm not burning my car down to the ground. And for me to take a car leaking oil to an HPD tech and I know it's leaking oil, it's fucking dumb. So this is where the big dilemma is. I got this motor from a buddy. He said it was running good. Instantly, I had to replace the head gasket because it wasn't running good. Now I'm still having the same issue of leaking oil. So it can only be a few things. It could be the head gasket, or it could be something actually wrong with these heads that the machine shop missed. Which leads me to the next debate. All right, motor swaps. I need to get rid of, I'm going to take this motor out. I can either go with a Myvec motor, or I can go with a stock motor and lose power. Now, Myvec motor was probably guaranteed me 300 wheel horsepower, or I can go with the stock motor and get 180 and lose about 50 pounds because the Mavic motor is a whole lot heavier. It's a big debate. I've been, since last night, trying to weigh the pros and cons. So if I do the Mavic, I already have the exhaust set up. I already have the throttle body set up. The only thing that I would need to do is modify the fuel rails, and I would have to add a RPM switch. And that's where I need to read about the rules, because I know they don't allow RPM switches. So if that rule is not allowed, then Mavic motor is out of the question. There is a Mavic motor local, and it can be, I can basically pick it up, and it's really cheap. So I might go check it out and see what it looks like. If not, I will be putting a stock 3.0 back into this car, and I would just have to run a different exhaust setup, and I would have to get a new axle bracket, because the one that I have for the swap, you have to either grind the lip off the motor or you have to grind the axle bracket. So I would have to get a new axle bracket, because I instead of grinding the motor, I grinded the axle bracket. So that's it. I will see you guys next week with the decision. And if you guys want, if I end up doing the Mavic motor, and if you guys want me to do like a vlog on it, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next week.